This edition and session on event management as a career. What we will learn today in this session is all about how event management as an evolved career can enable you to do various kinds of events across the globe, which includes both business as well as social events. My name is Jateen Rajput, and I run a company called Consumer Links Marketing Private Limited, which is based out of Mumbai in India. And I've been practicing this business for the last 30 years. So today we will especially talk about how evolution of events happen in India and globally. We'll also talk about the various roles that are engaged in the business of event management. And we'll also talk about the evolved careers that have emerged in event management as business has moved across the last 4 decades, and how these careers will play a pivotal role in the future on providing specialized services under the business of event management, thereby enabling current practitioners to deliver cutting-edge solutions in various niche businesses across the globe. So let's dive straight into the presentation and understand what it takes to become a successful event manager and how important is event management as a career. So the business of event management and experiential marketing, this whole business started more than about 4 decades ago. And when it started across the globe, initially the agencies that managed clients' general communication, including conventional advertising and marketing, offered events as a solution when the client was looking at a direct engagement with its consumers. Similarly, in the social business, it was often left to volunteers or uncles and aunties or friends to put together a wedding, or use their contacts from their previous experiences to recommend vendors and partners and suppliers to put together a wedding celebration. However, as the industry and the needs of the consumer evolved, and as people started looking globally at solutions which would enable them to enjoy or experience the event for themselves and leave the organizing to a professional, there came the birth of event management. So whether it be sports, whether it be conferences, whether it be political rallies, award shows, exhibitions, product launches, conventions, meetings, or even our very own IPL, it is all about organizing, putting together the logistics, the ideas, the dreams, and converting them into a physical reality, which we know as an event. So why to choose event management as a career? There are various definitions of what is an event. I will probably offer you my own version, and this is especially relevant because it kind of defines the scope and what an event actually does. An event has been defined in many ways, but here is mine. Engaging an audience in a meaningful, purposeful conversation to tell a compelling story. And mind you, it's all about storytelling. Through any form, it could be intrusive, immersive, disruptive, any form of communication that will elicit a response that can be measured, and of course, which understands what is the purpose of the event and why it was hosted, and eventually deliver a result which will enable to understand what the event was all about. So when the purpose of the event, for which it was hosted, is achieved, true events come into being. Events are everyday life incidents. You going to school, you going to college, you going to work, you going out with friends, meeting out for a lunch or a dinner, getting together at home for a function, celebrating the small joys of daily life are all events. Everything that we do is for a purpose, whether it is, the way or we ask pocket money from our parents and making that whole requirement which enables us to derive the right amount of money from our parents is also an event. So jokes apart, events can be unscheduled surprises, events can be experiences, that remain indelible forever. So anything that engages two people or even a single person, or engages many people, or engages millions of people, or engages the entire globe into an activity is what an event is all about. Events are built on thoughts and transformed into physical reality. And that is the true meaning of what an event is all about. I particularly want to talk about this video before it starts. And this is all about one of the event industry's leading lights and a very close friend, Mr. Martin DeCosta. Martin runs a company called 70 EMG in Mumbai and is one of the known names in the business today. And he runs one of the most successful event companies that runs bespoke events in the luxury and lifestyle businesses. So Martin has a very interesting analogy about what is an event and how it transforms people. So do take a look at this video, and then we will talk about how events evolve and how events deliver across markets.
What goes into the construction of a great event? The perfect event needs a team. And it needs to be a team of great individuals, professionals even, to work together with you and to make what you are trying to do for your brand or your consumers, your guests, sometimes even your audience and your family, and create actual magic. Well, ideas for events can come from anywhere and everywhere. Sticky notes, an art gallery, images, music, the cinema, meals with friends in a restaurant, sometimes even the news. Certainly travel. Most of all, though, they come from years and years of practice. And it's practice at the cutting edge of the event, entertainment, and media business. Hard work, experience, forward planning, and talking. Huge amounts of talking. It's the most incredible fun, and we love it. Not just the process of creation, it's also the events that we design. We love to put your ideas and ours through the black box, work out the details and make them a reality. It's about going the extra mile. We've become India's best special events agency in part because we love the process. From focusing on you, your plans, their execution, to being the partner that you just cannot do without. And finally, to lead managing and making properties out of your brands. This truly is the democratization of art, and it's exactly what we need here in India. EMG has designed, built, managed some of India's largest event projects. Festivals, global conferences, fashion, national brand launches, and of course the world's most spectacular private parties. It's also about bringing people together to connect and to celebrate. We do the tightrope walk between you and the stars. They want to take part in your celebrations too. At the 70 Event Media Group, we're all about the doing. At 70, we get things done.
So here, as Martin spoke about the business of event management, what was particularly nice to know and what was interesting to understand is that events are about teams. Events are about people. Events are about a lot of talking. Events are about bringing the skill set of many to one platform, to one idea to deliver a solution. So while everyone brings their skill sets to the table, it's the role of the event manager to bind those skill sets together and convert them from a dream into a reality. So essentially, you're playing the role of a tenor or a orchestra conductor who knows the nuances, the weaknesses, the power of each single instrument and how those instruments can come together in a harmony of music to deliver a masterpiece. And that is what we do every single day of our lives. And that, in its true sense, is an event. So, if you are aspiring to be an event manager, the first thing that one needs to understand is the passion that comes on the table with event making. The second most important attribute of being a successful event manager is about being communicable and being able to talk to and being able to speak with people. So it's important to tell people what you think and understand from people what they think and bring those ideas in cohesion together to deliver a solution. So these are fundamental attributes that are mandatory to be successful in events. Now, talking more about events, let us understand the process of how events evolve. One, how events are viewed or what the industry stands for globally, what it stands for in India, and also talk about how the Asia Pacific market has evolved in a very large way as far as event solutions are concerned. So I'm going to go back to my presentation and talk about the business of the global event industry. So if you look at the regions across the globe, there is the North Americas, the Europe, the Africas, the Latin Americas, and of course Australia, which are global event markets, and they've been there for quite some time. But what is significant to know is that the Asia Pacific region, as quoted by the Event MB report of 2019, it says that the Asia Pacific market is growing by 13% year on year and is evolving as a major hub for brands to do events. So, the global event management industry provides 26 million jobs worldwide to people in the event industry, which is considerably large. And if you see these figures, these numbers are growing year on year, day by day, because there is more and more need of event professionals in the globe. The event management industry globally was 1,400 US dollar billion in 2019. The majority of the event management industry globally is divided into live events, which includes concerts, shows, festivals, galas, fashion events, and so on and so forth. Uh, Sports events, a large amount of sports happens across the globe. Particularly football is one of the largest global spectrums in the business. Besides, of course, the conventional Olympics that happens once in every 4 years, and cricket, which is a predominant line item on many of the Indian minds, as we know. Uh, of course, sports in India has also evolved from cricket to now include local sports like kabaddi, badminton leagues, football leagues, and hockey leagues, which are becoming more and more popular amongst the younger generation. Social events. Good to know that weddings, anniversaries, private and personal celebrations across the globe are a major line item for any consumer who spends. A well-known fact is that any human being on an average saves about one third of his life savings just to spend on this big celebration that he would indulge in his lifetime. So many people save up almost about one third of their life savings to spend on a wedding, which is quite a large ticket size as a business. Business events across the globe today are all pervading. There are meetings, conferences, activations, exhibitions, conventions, product launches, and so on and so forth that is happening almost every single day. Public events like rallies, political events, community events, and CSR, which is corporate social responsibility, are again major holdings that happen in the calendar year across the globe. So I particularly want you to take you through a case now where I want to talk about an event that happened in the Asia Pacific market in the year 2006. Why this event is special and close to my heart is that A, it was an Asian event. It indulged people from the local communities of Asia, which included Indians, Pakistanis, local Middle Eastern specialists from Palestine, uh, people from the Philippines, people from Thailand, people from China, people from Sri Lanka. They all came together to put together this global perspective. Uh, I want to run this video for you of this event that happened in Doha, uh, in Qatar. And this particular event is special because A, it was the largest event of its times hosted in the year 2006. It boasted of some of the large world records, including the world's largest AV screen ever built, the world's largest ever rig, which was built for a concert, the world's largest excavated backstage, which was created under the ground, which measured 400 meters by 400 meters, and which was almost about 4 floors deep. And it offered backstage rooms, it offered changing rooms, it offered stitching floors where people could stitch costumes. And it was significant because it involved 16,000 people working for more than 6 months on this project. This event was managed by Dave Atkins of Australia, and it was special to me because 50 of my students worked on this particular event for 3 months in Qatar, in Doha, and were part of this spectacle. So that's why this event becomes even more significant. This particular clip that I'm sharing with you is of a flame lighting which happened at the launch of the Doha Asian Games. The Crown Prince unveiled the torch and lit the torch for the opening of the Games. It is particularly significant for the country to showcase its best, and the country is known for its equestrian talent. So not only man, but animal and man, both heroes of the day, became significant to launch the flame lighting. And here is the video that showcases that. I'm going to talk you through this video and talk to you about the special aspects that happened during this event, and particularly bring to you how it evolved and made it such a large spectacle. So let's have a look. So that's the Royal Sheikh of Qatar welcoming the athlete for the flame lighting. And now from the ground emerges the Crown Prince, who was unveiled in a dramatic way to light the torch of the Doha Asian Games. This entire structure was built locally and put up on a hydraulic lift to come out from the ground and reveal in a grand way the Crown Prince, who was sitting on a horse with the final torch which would light the Doha Asian Games flame to unveil and launch the games. So look at the technology of unveiling. How beautifully has the Crown Prince unveiled from a structure which has been built with metal, glass, and other materials. So this was what we call a wow moment. Every event must have wow moments which excite audience, build expectations, and keep them engaged in the conversation to allow them to be immersed in the story and further look forward to the experience.
Tonight the program for the 15th Asian Games, Doha 2006. Mohammed bin Hamad bin Khalifa Al Thani, captain of the Qatar Equestrian Endurance Team.
أيها السيدات والسادة، بإقامة مجهد الشعلة الكبير للعاب الآسيوية ال15 دوحة 2006، إليكم الفارس محمد حمد بن خليفة الثاني قائد الفريق القطري لسباق القطر.
The customary invocation, the prayer to God, for success, for glory, for peace, for happiness, for all the athletes who have gathered there. The challenge here for this athlete was not just to go and light the torch, but actually climb 220 meters to the top of the stadium to light the torch of the Doha Asian Games. And here you see him do a steep incline climb all the way up to light the torch. It was both difficult for the horse as well as for the athlete. And remember, 21 horses were used and more than 350 people worked on this act to deliver the final product. So here you see him challenge gravity to go all the way up with an animal to light the flame of the Doha Asian Games. Watch it. It was steep, it was hard, but we go to the animal and tested its endurance to reach the top to light the flame of the Doha Asian Games. And if reaching the top was not difficult, you will now look at the world's largest truss ever built, which held the torch to light the flame of the Doha Asian Games 2006. So as it rose from the belly of the stadium to rise high above the stadium, the flame was a staggering 700 tons of steel that was put together by a team of Germans and locals and had the torch along with a contraption that many remembered for ages to come. So here you see the flame being lit. And now, watch the spectacle as not just the flame gets lit, but a dramatic unveiling happens along with it. This beauty of mankind not only had the wow moment, but showcased talent, hope, technology, all put together. And now observe carefully as the drama unfolds. Not just the torch moves, but every single part of this massive construction moves in harmony along with each other to reveal the astronomer's globe, which is the iconic symbol of Doha's evolution as a country. And this is how we showcase the culture and the values of what Doha stands for and Qatar stands for as a part of the flame lighting of the Doha Asian Games. Beautiful, isn't it? And now to move on to our next slide and talk about how India as a business has been impacted. Let's understand what the Indian context is. But before that, I wanted to talk to you about the spectacle that you just saw. So here there was an event manager who had worked with more than 16,000 people over a period of 6 months to actually create just a ceremony of 3 hours. The amount of meticulousness, the amount of planning, the amount of effort, the amount of thought, the amount of technology, the amount of innovation, the amount of uh, talent coming together and people coming together to put their hands up, whether it be the artists, whether it be the performers, whether it be the backstage hands, whether it be the technicians, it all tantamounts to cohesive teamwork. So when Martin spoke about saying there is a lot of talking, there's a lot of teamwork that goes into making events, I actually ran this video to prove that point to you. So here what you saw in this spectacle was actually about teams coming together with passion, with drive, with thought, and with the ability to talk to each other, to listen to each other, to deliver a spectacle. So event management is about talking, is about teams coming together and working towards a solution. So let's put into context the Indian event industry. The Indian event industry came about into evolution in the late 80s. Initially, there were about 5 or 10 agencies that actually put their hands up and started the business of event management. But the event industry actually grew or started growing by leaps and bounds in the mid 90s, which is about 95, 96, when a lot of companies started mushrooming up in the markets around Mumbai and Delhi, where a large number of conventions, events, and exhibitions were being held. Mind you, exhibitions was a much older industry. In fact, it has been almost about in the business for about now from the time of independence. And it is a industry which is 4 times the size of the Indian event industry. So it's a big business to get into. If many of you are considering event management, you should also consider exhibitions as an industry. Traditional events were executed by ad agencies, admin departments, relatives and families, and so on and so forth. However, the need for specialists to manage these events and bring about an organized conceptual presentation became a norm only around the turn of the century. So around the late 90s is when people started realizing that we need someone special who could come up with an idea, who could come up with a resource, who could bring fresh perspective to organizing an event and bring in a theme and enable an event to get executed, is when event management actually came into play. And that is when the turn of the century brought about a renaissance in the event business and event industry actually came into play. Today, the event industry is pegged at about 16,000 crore plus. This is as per E&Y's report of 2019. It employs more than 4 million people and is broadly segmented into corporate planners and wedding planners. That is how we know it. A parallel industry to this business is the exhibition, convention, and trade fair industry, which is older than the event industry. As I said, it started somewhere around post-independence and is valued at 65,000 plus crores. And this is as per the IEIA report of 2018. Another emerging market for the experience and event business in India is the curated content business today. Intellectual properties or IPs today are a big turner as far as business is concerned. Sponsored events have now evolved into IPs and they are held annually. And many brands today don't sponsor events one-off or provide money as charity, but actually sign on to bring about a synergetic approach in their brand ideology with the event to engage with communities or consumers that could be targeted as potential buyers of their products or their services. And that is how IPs and brands have evolved into a symbiotic relationship. In our next lecture, we will be talking more about what are the career options in the event industry, how role plays play an important role in the event industry, and how this business can be evolved in specialized roles, which will enable you to use your current skill sets and evolve into specialized roles, which will help you grow in the business of events. So thank you so much for joining in, and I'll see you again soon.